Well, I'd say I'd buy it for $1, but I think it's safe to say I've spent more than $1 on all this. RoboCop, directed by Paul Verhoeven, came out in 1987 and stars Peter Weller, Nancy Allen, Ronnie Cox, and Kurtwood Smith. And this is a movie I've been wanting to talk about for quite some time. We're talking about it today mainly because of the new RoboCop Rogue City game that came out, which I've been playing for the past couple of days and really been enjoying, which I'll save for another video. But I wanted to talk about the movie. And this movie, not only is it great, but I have a personal history with it. And I have notes here because I originally wanted to do this in the Cinemillennial podcast form, which, if you guys didn't know, I tried doing that. Definitely check out that episode. It was over the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, so definitely check it out if you're interested. But I wanted to do this in the podcast form and really break it down because there's a lot of layers to this movie. But I'm not going to bog down the video with all the details. However, I do want to talk about it because it is genuinely a really great movie. So, for those of you who have not seen the movie, just to kind of give a brief explanation of what the movie is, you follow this guy named Alex Murphy, who transfers to a new police department, and while on the job, gets massacred by this group of gangs, and which later he becomes RoboCop, and tries to hunt down and seek revenge for the people that killed him. There's a lot more to the story, but I don't want to dive too much into it. Peter Weller as Alex Murphy / RoboCop is great. It's really fascinating because they went through a lot of famous figures like Arnold Schwarzenegger and O.J. Simpson of all people, and even Michael Ironside, but they settled with Peter Weller, and I think Peter Weller does a great job. He has a look of an everyday guy. He's not this big buff bodybuilder. And so it makes RoboCop a lot more of a person to relate to, at least pre-RoboCop phase. He even does a great job with his physical acting in moments when he's debating his humanity. You can't see all of his face, you just see his jawline structure, but the way his posture is and everything, you see in some ways how confused he is, or how beaten down he is, and it's just great stuff. Kurtwood Smith as one of the rival gangs, Clarence Boddicker, is really entertaining. Usually characters like this, they don't stand out because of just how menacing, like just how crude they are. But Kurtwood Smith, though he is one sick, messed up, evil person, he is so entertaining to watch. A lot of the lines that he did are improvised, and it's just a very fascinating take on a villain, because usually you don't want to root for them. However, not that you root for him, but you are excited when you are happy when he's on screen because of just how genuinely entertaining he is to watch. One of the biggest takeaways of this movie is, of course, the action that this movie has. It is done very well. Of course, this is the time when there's no computer-generated effects, so it's all practical in person. The blood squibs are completely violent. Like, this is definitely rated R for a reason. Not just because of language, but the violence is over the top. And that is one thing that really stands out within this movie compared to most other movies. It doesn't shy away from the violence, and there's a reason why. The other thing that's really clever about this movie is the satire. There's a lot of poke and play on the Reaganomics of the 1980s, and some would say that it is a dark comedy, and in some ways it kind of is. It really pokes fun at a lot of the political climate of the Ronald Reagan years of the 80s, and it shows. Also, it plays upon consumerism, and you see that through the news media breaks and the commercials throughout the movie that help flesh out the world. It is an over-the-top world, but it's one that once again plays on the political and economic climate of the 80s at the time, and still stands test to this day. That's an impressive thing that this movie does. Though it's made in the 1980s and it has some stylistic choices of the 80s, it still seems timeless for some reason. Because the themes that this movie touches upon, whether it be political, economical, what it means to be human, it still stands to this day, and it is crafted in such a way that not only can you relate to it in some ways, not only is it entertaining, but it's a lot smarter than one would think it to be. Usually sci-fi movies of this caliber are just kind of entertainment. this one stands out because of how many deep layers this movie truly has. And it's also one of the first rated R movies I ever watched. It shocked me as a kid, and still to this day, I pick stuff out of it and learn so much more out of it. And I've really grown to love this movie, weirdly enough. It's truly one of my favorites. If you guys have not watched this movie, definitely do yourself a favor and check it out. It's so good. It's garnered many sequels, a TV series, a reboot, many comic series lines, and of course, video games, which brings us to the RoboCop Rogue City game. So it's really trickled down over the years like many other popular franchises, and this one still stands the test of time for a reason, and why people are still clamoring for another movie. So that's my thoughts on this movie, guys. It's been a long time coming, this episode, or at least talking about this movie. I wanted to do it for so long. Have you guys seen it? Have you not seen it? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you've liked content and want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, I've got my social media accounts linked in the description below. There's one for Letterboxd, one for Twitch, and one for Instagram. So if you want to stay up to date with what all goes on the channel, what all I watch, and when I go live, definitely follow me on the social media accounts. I thank you all, as always, for stopping by. I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate you. And I cannot wait to see you guys in the next video.